Glenn Ignacio, it's good to see you as always. In terms of actually having things start blowing up in Mexico and killing members of the cartel, snatching grabs, light work out for the U.S. military. What has to happen politically?
Well, politically, it's a tough thing about what happens with everybody's opinion if certain people are hurt or killed. Because if troops actually hit the ground, it's going to be the idea we're invading another country, which is not the point. But with authorization for military force, gives the ability for surveillance, reconnaissance, gives the ability to intercede on the high seas because China is the #1 friend of the Sinaloa. But at the same time, you can also find a presidential finding, which means the CIA and covert operations could get in. It would have to be very detailed so you can identify where these cartels are, and of course their money and their flow and anybody that supports them. So it's a lot more than just invading the country. It's going to be very surgical, but you have to use the forces that are probably more covert and work with the Mexican government, even though they're very corrupt.
Yeah, this is what the Mexican president says. The United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military. We cooperate, we collaborate, but there's not going to be an invasion. That is ruled out, absolutely ruled out. It's not part of any agreement, far from it. When it has been brought up, we have always said no. Well, okay, thank you, Madam President of Mexico, but it hasn't been working. And I guess my question is, you know, it wouldn't take much, right, to go do a couple of snatch and grabs or blow up a couple of fentanyl labs in Tijuana, and maybe the cartels would rethink, maybe the Mexicans would rethink, right?
Yeah, this is the difficult part about Mexico, is who really is the friend or not. And you could talk about it because it was a few years ago that the defense minister himself was arrested because he was basically on the take. So that's the difficult part. So I think that Representative Crenshaw, who was really pushing for this, says we have to work with the Mexican government to do it. But as far as strikes, you know, if we strike particular laboratories and so forth, they're going to move quickly. But it's more about their network, their money, their flow, how they do their money laundering. Okay. Again, big connection with China. Yeah.
Forgive me, but like there was a movie about this. I know movie isn't real life, but sometimes we make it there. Clear and Present Danger, Tom Clancy's novel, is a movie. Take a look.
These drug cartels represent a clear and present danger to the national security of the United States.
Comes from other nations. Some say the greatest threat to America.
The course of action I'd suggest is a course of action I can't suggest.
Comes from within.
We are 2 minutes to target. Looks like we've got our own little war.
That's all things the U.S. military can do, right?
In all honesty, yes, it's one of my favorite movies. I agree. One of the things, as in the movie, it's one of those things of what happens is there's collateral damage. But the biggest part would be getting that human intelligence. So that's where the intelligence agencies and all that will be able to map this out to find out who's who, right? That'd be the thing that'd be able to be taking out these particular targets, looking at the leadership, looking at those what you would call middle managers, or even the sicarios to take them out would be definitely, you know, fruitful. It benefit us. Whatever can stop the fentanyl and can stop them in general would be the best thing. The thing that we also have to worry about, and I know we talked about this a while ago, is if we do something to the cartels, unfortunately with the open border, and there's a lot of cartels and a lot of members in the United States, would they retaliate? That's one of the things where I think building up the law enforcement and everything that's going on in the country is a benefit, but you can't rule that out. So those are the things you have to consider. But yeah, kinetic operations against a cartel would be fantastic, but we can't do it unilaterally. And that's the important part, to figure out who is the friend in Mexico or even Central America. That's the tough one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure we even have any friends that you can trust. You know, overall overdose deaths, 80,000 in the United States, fentanyl deaths, 48,000, killing a lot more than were ever killed on 9/11. So got to figure it out. All right, Glenn, we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Hey, Carolina. Good to see you.
You too.